And here we go.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ron Verhage, President of Seriously Smart Technologies. Our webinar today is on the subject of using our Q9 and S8 stress management systems for the support and improvement of seasonal affective disorder. Now, if you are new to stress management biofeedback, I'll give you a brief description of what it is and how it works. Our stress management systems operate in a gentle and a simple way. The client is connected to a biofeedback device via electrode bands that are placed around the wrists, the ankles, and around the forehead. And the device is connected to a laptop, and through the software, it sends approximately 11,000 frequencies into the body. The software will analyze the body's feedback and displays the results on our screen so we can determine the potential causes of the client's stress. Then we work to retrain the body's stress response using those 11,000 frequencies. I do like to mention that stress management biofeedback does not diagnose, treat, cure, or heal. We do not assess and we do not prescribe. We strictly detect stress and we work to reduce stress. So let's begin the discussion about how we can support and improve the wellness of our clients with our Q9 and S8 stress management system. Now I'm going to introduce you to a biofeedback diplomate, our resident trainer here at SST. Please welcome Fernando Crespo O'Neill.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, whether live or in person or watching the recording. What is seasonal affective disorder? Well, seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD, is a type of depression that's related to changes in seasons. SAD begins and ends at about the same time every year. If you're like most people with SAD, your symptoms start in the fall and continue into the winter months, sapping your energy and making you feel moody. These symptoms often resolve during the spring and summer months. Less often, SAD causes depression in the spring or early summer and resolves during the fall or winter months. Now, a side point, SAD is diagnosed more often in women than in men, and it occurs more frequently in younger adults than in older adults. So, what are the signs and symptoms of SAD? What might they include? Feeling listless, sad, or down most of the day, nearly every day, losing interest in activities you once enjoyed, having low energy, feeling sluggish, having problems with sleeping too much, experiencing carbohydrate cravings, overeating and weight gain, having difficulty concentrating, feeling hopeless, worthless, or guilty, having thoughts of not wanting to live. Now, additional comment I want to make is you need to take these signs and symptoms of SAD seriously. As with other types of depression, SAD can get worse and lead to problems if it's not treated. So, what are the causes? The specific cause of seasonal affective disorder remains unknown. Some factors that may come into play include your biological clock, also known as your circadian rhythm. The reduced level of sunlight in fall and winter may cause winter onset seasonal affective disorder. This decrease in sunlight may disrupt your body's internal clock and lead to feelings of depression. Serotonin levels. A drop in serotonin, a brain chemical or a neurotransmitter that affects mood, might play a role in SAD. Reduced sunlight can cause a drop in serotonin that may trigger depression. Melatonin levels. The change in season can disrupt the balance of the body's level of melatonin, which plays a role in sleep patterns and mood. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to go into the panels that are in the software that can be used to support seasonal affective disorder. Now, according to the Mayo Clinic, it's normal to have some days when you feel down. But if you feel down for days at a time and you can't get motivated to do activities you normally enjoy, see your healthcare professional. This is especially important if your sleep patterns and appetite have changed, you turn to alcohol for comfort or relaxation, or you feel hopeless or think about suicide. Now, a disclaimer with biofeedback stress management I like to make is just because our software can offer seasonal affective disorder support does not imply or guarantee seasonal affective disorder support success. So With that being said, let's get into the software. Right in the main matrix, uh, this is, in the main matrix panel, you can do a search for seasonal, depression, or sadness. Then with the results that show up here in the body, I like to work on those choices that are in the red or purple, and maybe blue choices that are below 40. Now, I do want to make a comment that working on someone with depression or seasonal affective disorder, it can be tough. Many don't even want to bother. Some will even block the session from being effective. Now, here it's saying in the matrix, you can also use your search results and move them over to the yellow box, and then use this box here called the compound list. And there's a really neat entry in there called imponderables. We can go ahead and click test item, hold tray above, and then work on retraining the 4 results that'll show up. Another neat thing that we now have in the premium software is the custom ZAP panel, where we can also take the results from our searches, again, searching for seasonal, for depression, for sadness, and then dragging those results over here into the box. And then we can press either the zap button, the 3-minute zap button, or the 9-minute zap button, and it'll work on those results that you pulled into the box. We also have another pull down up here called autofocus apps. But here in the premium software, we recently got a new button called AutoZap. And it's a type of builder also where we can perhaps click on multiples of the autofocus apps and load them up here. As you can see, I picked about 5 different emotional ones that can be affected or be attributed to sad. And then you could run these in, press start, and it can work on all of them, each one at a time in a row. It's really nice. Another thing we could do is click on EPR enhancements and click patient super conscious reduction panel, where we can then type in a comment down here, like seasonal affective disorder, and then press start, and it'll give us a report that we can go over with our clients, things that are causing them stress and ideas that we can give them as their wellness coaches for maybe the improvement or just supporting seasonal affective disorder. We can see here in the first set of yellow that it talks about possible causes of the disease, and it recommends lack of exercise. We also see the example of heredity. And then down here, the second choice is things that can perhaps help with, it uses the word cure. I'm not a doctor, so I can't use that, but the software does use it here. The primary, and it gives suggestions as a primary and a secondary. It also gives the bifurcation points, which are things that can be causing blockages from the wellness improvement. And lastly, the third choice is the palliation, which are symptoms of their wellness concern that we put in here. And these are just things that we can help coach with our clients. Next, staying in the matrix, clicking on EPR enhancements, we can click the choice of stimulate, reaction, duplicate, remedy. And in here, you have permission to invert and restore what is needed for your client's wellness. You can see in the box here, I've got invert seasonal affective disorder, invert depression, restore feelings of joy. And then you can press the start button until it balances. Now, leaving the matrix, we can go to the acupuncture and acupoints panels. There are so many emotional support points that can be supported in these panels. In fact, there's at least 67 of them. And then you can use the cheat sheet that comes with the acupoints cheat sheet that comes with the Seriously Smart session training. Then we can actually go to the aging panel, and inside the aging panel, there is a interesting hidden panel that some people get very excited about. It's the past life panel. We have a free training on our website for just particularly for this panel. This can help work on this wellness concern from an ancestral standpoint. Like we saw there in the one report, how heredity can be involved, and we can actually work on the family line in this panel of where that may have influenced our client's wellness. Leaving the aging panel, we can go over to biofeedback systemic relaxation. There's many choices in here that we can do for supporting. Here's just a couple right off the bat. We see release subconscious negativity, treat psychosomatic disorder. Under the organ systems, we see emotional release. And under additional, we see karmic bonds and phobias. Those are also under the relaxation. We have like karma and phobias 1 and 2. And what's interesting about working on the at least karma with your clients, whether you believe in karma or not, you might have a client that or someone that you know and care about thinks, you know what, I'm just never going to get better. I'm just meant to be this way. I'm just never going to change. And they believe that to be their karma. And it's neat in our program that we can support that with them. Then we have a program called the Disease Dictionary, which has quite a few entries in there. And you can see that seasonal affective disorder is in there as well as depression. Now, I did want to make a comment that you'll see that seasonal affective disorder is duplicated. There's actually 9 instances in the software where it's either duplicated or triplicated, and there's nothing to be worried about. Now, some of the practitioners are also homeopaths, and they love using the homeopathic panel to support their clients. Leaving there and going over to the NLP panel, that's also known as the emotional wellness panel. And there are a lot of choices in here. And here's just a couple under the therapies pull down. You see depression, higher purpose alignment, the neuropeptide stimulation for balanced biochemical disorders. Then going over to the NLP AFE subfiles, we see under special AFERX, we see depression basic. Under the connecting to other dimensions, we see some actually a couple really interesting ones that I thought were perfect for supporting somebody with SAD. We see motivation stimulation and sugar cravings. Now, inside NLP, we also have a very interesting panel called Survival Awareness Forum. And this is meta page 1, where we can click on choices below 50, things that are over 100. And you can see just in this instance alone that sadness is something to be worked on and retrained. Going over to meta-analysis page 2, you can see lots of different wellness choices here for emotional support, where we can press the button treat color items. You see all the different colored items. We can also come down here to this white box and actually type in seasonal affective disorder and press scan diseases, and we'll get another whole list of other colored items that we can press that button on. Now, going over to the nutrition panel, one of the things that we can do in here is in the white box, you can type in seasonal affective disorder and press the test disease for best nutritional supplement button. Then what will happen is we can go ahead and work on retraining the results that show up here. Some practitioners also stock a lot of nutrition in their office, and they may send their clients home with items that are recommended in this panel. Some people have even found that vitamin D to be very effective in depression support. There's also the quick therapy panel, which we see here in the middle section, a lot of uh, emotional support, like attitude support. And then you can just also in the white box type in seasonal affective disorder as we press the start button. Then going over to the sports panel, this panel is really neat because we can actually go ahead and stabilize or stimulate 2 out of the 4 happy hormones. We see dopamine and endorphins. And then we also see a button down here called overall conflict reduction. Sometimes our client has a conflict with themselves, and that can be supported here. Then going over to the time therapies panel, there's a few options here that are great for emotional support. Here's an obvious one, the feel good therapy. Then here in the middle box, we see a lot of attitude and emotional support choices that can be also clicked to enhance this panel. Going from time therapies to timed treatments, we have a few options here. We see feel good, and then we see psych treatment. But I'm also pointing here at the start injured tissue treatment. And why is that? That button's actually really neat because it's working on injured tissue that can be basically, you can work on trauma, whether it's an emotional trauma, physical trauma, or a mental trauma. So this panel is very nice. Then going over to another one of the premium new features, it's called the AFE Builder. And earlier we saw in the NLP panel some different AFE pulses that we could select. Well, we can actually just come straight here and go through all the different lists, and then you can load in this box different ones that can be supportive for SAD, and then press start. Staying in that panel, we can also click on one-click therapies. And one-click therapies actually has several mental wellness support choices that you can do individually in the left box, or you can pull them over here into the right box and work on them all in a row. We have a free training for that on our website. Now, leaving our biofeedback software, we have an additional program called Class Portal. This is a paid-for program that works along with our main program, but also works separately. Now, this is the newest version that you're looking at, and you can see that seasonal affective disorder and depression, as well as other emotional support choices, are in here. Now, besides biofeedback, we also here at SST have some additional products that can be supportive. We have bioenergy patches, many that are for emotional support. However, these are the three that I kind of picked for this topic. We have emotional rescue, melatonin support, and mood boost. And these are frequency generating patches that can be placed on the shoulder to support your client in between biofeedback appointments. And here at SST, we really like the FlexBeam product, and it has been known to help with depression support. Now, for more information about our new and previously owned Q9 and S8 stress management systems, please go to seriouslysmarttechnologies.com/devices.
And in addition to finding more information about our stress management systems, there's a new section on our website that can assist you in finding a nearby practitioner. The website address is seriouslysmarttechnologies.com/members. And to view what online training is available, you can visit us at seriouslysmarttechnologies.com/online-training. And to check our events calendar, please to excuse me, to check our events calendar to find out when our next events are, please visit seriouslysmarttechnologies.com/public-events. So that was excellent information today, Fernando, regarding supporting seasonal affective disorder with our stress management systems. Thank you very much. We would like to assist any of you with additional questions you may have regarding stress management biofeedback. And to do so, our email address is info@sstoffice.com, or you can contact us by phone at 989-321-2800. Once again, thank you for joining us today. We hope you have an amazing day. Now, if anyone has any questions you'd like to type into that chat section of the Zoom application, please do so. And we will get into answering some of your questions. Okay, it looks like Stephanie posted those links in there as well, which is great. The first question we have, Fernando, since we don't prescribe, how do you discuss the results you saw in the software and make recommendations without crossing the line?
You know, that is a really good question, and one I'm going to let Ron completely answer by himself. No, but um, and you're right. But most of us, like I'll tell people, I am not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. But I am a wellness coach. I am a stress management specialist, stress management practitioner, and so as we go through the whole program and see things that we can coach our clients on to make better wellness decisions, you know, we're giving them suggestions, we're giving them guidance, and so that falls in my opinion into the parameters of our program, of our job, of the scope of our work. But we do have to be careful not to come across or even sound like a doctor if we're not licensed to do so.
Yeah. And we have our with the purchase of a Q9 or an S8 stress management system, you do receive pretty in-depth training And one of the training modules is called coaching and compliance. So you actually get trained on how to how to share this information, how to properly do it within the scope of your medical license, if you have a medical license, or your biofeedback certification or stress management certification. So excellent. Okay, so the next question was, can we find the PowerPoint on the SST website? And Stephanie does mention that it is available in the member FAQ section for members. The full recording is also there listed in the public section as well. As many of you have probably seen some of the other webinars we have done, the videos are all there. Um, any other questions that we have here?
I know one that I did think of in case it does that we were talking about yesterday. If a
That's what I
client,
was thinking too.
yeah, did you have it in front of you? I'll let you read it
Yeah,
like
well, it was going to be if you have a client with severe depression and you can tell because of their depression that they really don't want to be there, how do you handle something like that?
yeah, with and that can be really tough. I've got personal experience with that with some of my clients. Uh, with we did show the class portal, which again is a paid for program that can work along with biofeedback, the class 64, but it can also work independent of it. And in that one, you can it is more automated where you load your client in and then you just select seasonal affective disorder, pick your time and click start, or depression, pick your click put in your time and click start. And then that way they can just kind of fall asleep, and it's more uh it's an easier way to start a commitment on wellness improvement. And they might be okay with that because I made that comment at the beginning, like they'll they don't want to bother sometimes. And but if you say, hey, you know what, I do have some kind of an automated system that's, where I don't have to participate as much. Well, as long as it's not going to be a bother for you, so that's a neat way to at least get their feet in the water, and then they can see the benefits. I know Ron wanted me to tell this story. I had a client a couple weeks ago that he's been in here twice for with severe anxiety issues, and he couldn't even have a session because he was so stressed out that he was going to have a that it might, in his mind, he was so stressing himself out that it was going to stimulate a panic attack. And so the first two times he came and we just talked. And then the third time he's like, okay, I have a dental appointment coming up and I cannot lose my mind and freak out during a dental appointment. So, okay, I'm going to let you try to help me. And, let's try to work on stress reduction with this. And as the appointment started, he was sitting on the front of my leather recliner, just stressing out. And then like every half hour, he, he calmed down. He went from leaning forward, clenching his hands, to finally moving halfway back in the recliner and then sitting back in the recliner. And then the last half hour, he reached over, pulled the handle, and was reclining. And it was just so cool to see him react like that. And then he ended up coming and seeing me again about a week or two later. And he had said that he had here in our town, we have some new roundabouts in at instead of where intersections used to be. And there was an accident at one, and he came up to it and he said, normally that would have completely set me off. I would have been completely freaking out. And if I have to sit here for too long, it's going to make me have a panic attack. I'm going to end up in the emergency room. He just had this cascade of stress that he said would happen. He said, it was a week after my first appointment with you, and I saw that and went, okay, I guess I'll wait. And he said it blew his mind how he didn't freak out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, what's really
results
neat
may
is
vary.
yeah, and what's neat is seeing somebody who, really struggled to get in there because of the situation that they're facing, and then watch them slowly transform into a more relaxed state. It's amazing when you can actually see that happen. And I've had experiences myself similar to that. And so sometimes just starting off slow and carefully is probably the best way to say it. And even if your sessions are shorter in the beginning with that person, just to get them to have a comfort factor with the work that you're doing, and then generally, you'll be able to tell as a practitioner, watching the release of stress as you move along. Okay, excellent. I don't think there's any other questions that popped into our chat. So I guess we've done a good job for the day. Well, thank you again for your questions, for joining us today. Fernando, thanks for your answers and your wisdom of the software and showing us what capabilities our devices actually have. So until next time, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you on our next webinar. Take care.